your story starts at the age of around 13.
That's right.
Which is pretty early.
Mm-hmm. At the age of 13, when my parents would go out on a Friday or Saturday night, an uncle used to come to stay with us. There were 8 of us. And he used to smoke Bristol cigarettes in those days, or anger without a tip. And I would get a pull of those cigarettes from time to time. At the age of around 15, I would go to what was then the Barbies Plaza or the Roxy Theatre, the 8:30 show. And at that time, I would have the opportunity to smoke a whole cigarette. I felt like a man. And my parents, I told them what I was doing and so forth. Well, they smacked me when I got home and said, smoking is dangerous, smoking is bad for you. I ignored them. And at the age of 23, I got married. And my wife did not like me smoking in the house. She didn't like me smoking, period. But I would go outside at night under the pretense that I was going to kill slugs. I would even take the salt with me to throw on these slugs to kill them. But I really took that as an opportunity to have 2 or 3 cigarettes while I was outside. She soon found out what I was doing, and obviously she was very, very annoyed. I stopped for about 3 months, and she bought a pipe for me. And I smoked a pipe for about 4 years. But the taste of a cigarette was much better than the taste of the tobacco from the pipe. I still have 5 pipes at home, but I returned to cigarettes.
So maybe we can fast forward now to the first time you started experiencing chest pains.
Yes. In 1997, I started getting chest pains and shortness of breath. I went to my GP, who did an ECG, and sent me straight away to a cardiologist. In fact, she telephoned the cardiologist to let him know that I was on my way to see him. The following week, he did a series of tests, one of which was a treadmill test. That's a stress test. I failed that test. Around halfway during that test, I had serious and severe chest pains and shortness of breath. And I also went into an asthma attack. That was the first asthma attack I ever had, and they termed it as an exercise-induced asthma attack. I was given medication for the pain and the shortness of breath, and it had to be nebulized. They also told me to stop smoking. I didn't listen to them. I continued smoking. In 2004, the chest pains got very much worse, and my cardiologist did an angiogram which showed that there were some blockages in the arteries, the heart arteries. The pain got more severe, and he did an angiogram which showed, as I said, showed the blockages. But the pain continued, and he sent me to Trinidad for what they call a nuclear scan. That was not available in Barbados at the time. And the scans showed that the arteries were getting more and more blocked. They also did a treadmill stress test for me at that time, and I again failed that test too. Same severe chest pain.
And all this time you were smoking?
All this time I was smoking, and all this time I was advised to stop smoking. I returned to Barbados, and the cardiologist warned me to stop smoking. And I didn't listen to them.
Why? Why not?
I was stupid, and I'll come to that a little further down. Again in 2004, he sent me back to Trinidad. He wanted me to do an angiogram, but if the blockages could be cleared by angioplasty, this is stenting, I would have that done at the same time. So off again I went to Trinidad, and they did the angiogram, and the cardiologist disappeared for a while. He came back to me and said, "Hayden, I left you because I went to telephone your cardiologist in Barbados. You need open heart surgery. Your main left artery is 95% blocked, and another artery is 50% blocked.
Were you experiencing any pain at this time?
Oh yes, I was getting severe chest pain and severe shortness of breath all the time. But this didn't stop me from smoking.
I guess you needed a stroke.
Well, I had much more than a stroke. He said you need open heart surgery, you need heart bypass. He said I could do angioplasty on the 50% blocked artery, but you would still have to go for open heart surgery, so let them do both at the same time. I came back to Barbados and my cardiologist made an appointment for me to see Dr. Harris, the surgeon specialist. I saw him and the date was set for the surgery for the 13th of December 2004. Surgery went well. You went to sleep with a wonderful feeling because the doctors and the nurses held hand around me, and they do it to all patients, and said a prayer. So you drifted off with a lovely feeling. When it came to, it was severe pain, and vowed I would never smoke again. I spent about 2 weeks in hospital. I was discharged from hospital on the 2 days before Christmas and was readmitted on Christmas Eve with pneumonia. I spent Christmas 2004 in hospital and the Old Year's Night and New Year's Day in hospital as well. I was discharged from Mr. Harris in February 2005 and we got the all clear. And would you believe that I was so stupid, come back to your word, I was so stupid that I started back smoking?
Are you describing your personal story or the anatomy of an addiction that would be familiar to other people who've been this journey, perhaps not as severely as yours?
This is my story, and others have passed this route as well, but this is my story. And
what are you hoping to achieve by telling your story?
What I'm hoping to achieve is, I'm trying to get the message across to all out there. Don't be stupid like me.
And I asked that question especially for that reason, because you were going through lots of pain, lots of problems. You continue to smoke. And I suppose to a lot of people out there who are smoking, that is the same thing. So do you think you can reach to somebody knowing your own experience?
That is my intention to be here today. I did a story for the Better Health magazine in 2 years ago, 2009. And the heading of it was my path to self-destruction. And I think that story, those few words tell it all. Because look at me today. I'm on oxygen, I'm in a wheelchair, due to many of the problems associated with smoking. Asthma, pleurisy, pneumonia, bronchitis. And in all of those, every time I was asthmatic or had an asthma attack, I had to be nebulized. And every time I had pneumonia, bronchitis, I had to be nebulized. And not only nebulized, but I was also given steroids. And there are many effects of steroids. And the effects, long-term effects of steroids, I have both of those diseases. That is, it has made my osteoporosis, the spine, very much worse. And it's also given me diabetes. So I'm here today.
At your highest peak, how many packs were you consuming a day?
That's a good question. When I was in hospital in 2007, the doctor was coming around with the consultant, and the consultant said, "Hayden, how many cigarettes do you smoke a day? Or did you smoke a day?" I said, 8. He said, "You mean 8 packs?" I said, "No, 8 single cigarettes a day." But 8 was enough to do my body damage. 8 packs a day would do someone else's damage.
And that's why I was asking, because there are people who, I suppose, social smokers who smoke maybe only when they go out, or maybe 1 cigarette a day. Should it matter, or your message should be avoid this at any cost?
Well, my message is if you are a smoker, if you're smoking, stop immediately. If you have not started smoking, don't start.
Hayden, there have been campaigns fronted by people like yourself before. In some parts of the UK, the cigarettes are printed with pictures of rotting hearts, pulmonary embolisms, bad teeth. Smoking kills is now printed on cigarette boxes. This kind of shock therapy has been attempted before. And it appears as though smoking continues unabated. I don't have the statistics, but maybe you can help me with that. What is it that makes it so attractive and so easy to ignore that the smoking continues?
In the beginning, smoking, I suppose, it made you feel like a man. It made you feel big up. But you got so addicted to it then, it was hard to break. What broke me off of smoking is that in 2007, when I was in hospital, an elderly doctor came up to me, and he had with him a cigarette lighter, silver-plated cigarette, a solid silver cigarette lighter, and a cigarette case. He said, Hayden, when I was at the university, I used to smoke 2 packs a day, and I brought this along to show you as proof of what I used to do. He said, and I realized the damage it was doing to me, and the amount of money that I was outlaying in cigarettes, which I could have put to better use. He said, Hayden, stop. He did this on 5 occasions, repeating the same words every time. And on the 5th occasion he did it, I stopped. I made a decision there and then to stop. And I stopped immediately and never looked back.
Well, you introduced an interesting part of the whole thing too, which is the financial part of it.
That's right.
I'm sure 8 cigarettes a day were probably not that pricey, but in terms of the cost now
of your medication
and
your health.
Thank God for health insurance. That has certainly helped in a long way, because I am on oxygen. I'm on oxygen 24 hours a day, 24/7. I had to purchase a machine for $13,000 at home to give me oxygen. This machine feeds me the oxygen. I'm on it attached with a 50-foot hose where I can go through the house in this machine. And the machine also has another attachment to it, which fills 2 bottles, which I must travel with at all times when I'm leaving the house, because I must be on oxygen 24/7. That is a price to pay for smoking. I'm hoping that others will not do as I've done. I didn't learn from other people's mistakes. I got to make my own to learn. Please listen to others. Listen to what others have been through, and please stop smoking. If you started, stop immediately. If you haven't started, don't start.
What of the argument that this is indeed an addiction, that by the time you realize you're in the throes of it, you need almost professional help, in the same way that you need professional help to get you off of heroin or alcohol or prescription medication? What do you think is available for people who have the presence of mind to say, this is an addiction that I can't help on my own? Is there anything in place that can help them? Because simply saying to someone who is addicted, stop now, you are a living testament to the fact that it doesn't work.
Yes, but after all is said and done, the individual, I had to make that decision myself to stop. All of the talk, all of the medications, all of the patches, or whatever there is, you go through. But I had to make that decision myself to stop. And once that decision was made, I never looked back. I don't even have a craving for a cigarette now.
After you have made the decision, however, was the infrastructure there? Was there somewhere you could go, officially, privately, whatever, where you said, I need help staying off?
I didn't need it.
Okay.
I didn't need it. I made that decision to stop. I'm not saying everyone will be like me, but I made that decision to stop, and stop I did.